Hey, what's up, everybody? So I wasn't going to make a second video today, but I decided to do that to address this whole thing about the battery health assistant that's coming in the Pixel 9a and other Pixel devices in the near future. And there's just some people that's just taking that way, 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 way out of control. It's out of context. It's crazy. So I'm going to address that. So if you know anybody who's also kind of freaking out about the Pixel 9a and the battery health assistant, and then future Pixels having this, as well as maybe previous Pixels having this, share this video to them so that way they can get an explanation of what's going on. Now, you guys know that I follow Pixel News very closely. Pixels is like, one of my favorite brand devices to use, aside from the Nothing brand as well. Now, this kind of shocked everybody, right? But there was like a hardware component thing that delayed the launch of the Pixel 9a. We're pretty much sure that it has to do with battery, something with the battery. I still don't know. It was never released out to the public exactly what it was. But what we got a release date for the Pixel 9a, and then we got told that it's coming with this battery health assistant feature that's going to be baked into the software. Something that you can't turn off. It's not a switch that can be toggled on or off, right? Like when you look at the iPhone has like several things to kind of like extend the life of your battery, right? So like they have a thing where you can limit the charging only up to 80%. Um, and clean energy charging, those types of things can be toggled on and off. With the battery health assistant on Pixels, it's not something that's going to be toggled on and off. This is going to kick on its own. Yes, I know. So that seems crazy because you're like, well, how do I know if I'm affected by it? Well, they pretty much laid out how this thing is going to work. So the battery health assistant actually kicks on after 200 charge cycles. Okay, now a charge cycle is 0 to 100%. So for those who are like, oh, okay, that's cool, I'll just let my phone discharge to 30% and charge it back up. No, that's not gonna help you sneak around this charge cycle. Because if you're not charging it from 0 to 100%, which is considered one charge cycle, say you discharge it to 30%, and then you plug it in and it charges from 30% back up to 100%. Well, out of one charge cycle, that's 70% of one charge cycle. So that means that if the next day you let the phone drop to 70% and then charge it back up to 100%, that 30% that it charged plus the 70 the day before, that's one charge cycle. So even if you chop it up 50-50, if you chop it up 70-30, 80-20, 60-40, doesn't matter. If you discharge to a certain percentage and charge back up to 100, and then the next day you happen to discharge it and then charge it back up to 100, and that charge percentage brings the equivalent to the day before added to 100%, that is one charge cycle. So after 200 charge cycles, it doesn't mean that they're going to throttle your battery down to 3,000 milliamps or 2,500 milliamps. What it initially starts to do is it starts to cap the capacity. So if it was at 100%, maybe they knock it down to like 99% capacity, 95% capacity. Like it begins slowly capping the capacity of the battery. So 5,100 milliamps will become like 5,000 milliamps, will become 4,950 milliamps, will become, you guys get the point. And they'll do that over time, and that's just because they want to maintain the integrity health of the battery. Lithium ion batteries are different than the type of batteries you put in your TV remote controls. They're not alkaline batteries. They're completely different. And, I've even seen the weird characteristics of lithium ions from like places that, I've been to, visited, and where I live. Where I live, this is like probably one of the worst cities aside from Las Vegas to really have a smartphone because one of the main key ingredients that degrades the battery health is high heat. High heat degrades the battery's health, and in Las Vegas, it can get pretty hot. Here in Phoenix, it can get pretty hot. So when you're outside, your phone heats up quite a bit. I know this because Google Pixels have something that is already managed automatically that can't be turned off that has been on Pixels for the longest time. And that is if you record a video and the temperatures outside is hot and the phone is heating up, you will get that dreaded message that they reduced the um the quality of the video being recorded. And if you continue to record video, then all of a sudden it just stops recording video and tells you your phone's too hot. Um, that is, that's heat. And so if you live in my city, the lifespan of a smartphone battery is far less than if you live in somewhere that has mild temperatures majority of the year. Like here in my city, we are hot 8 to 9 months out of the year, and we are warm basically, you know, 10 months out of the year. We don't actually start to get cold weather until like the end of November going into December. And then it's cold from the end of November until the end of January. And then it starts to warm back up. So, yeah, our smartphones here in our city are greatly impacted by the heat of the weather. And so that degrades battery, it degrades lithium ion batteries. So, with that being said, no, it's not going to cap your capacity outside a box as soon as you unbox it. That's not how it works. It's 200 charge cycles before it, starts to not only lower the capacity of the battery, but also lower the voltage of charging. So yeah, may need to charge a little longer than before, and that is just because they're not trying to, quickly deplete the battery life out of it by heating the battery up so quickly. Like when you're charging your phones, it's heating up. The battery heats up. So if you lower the voltage, it takes a little longer for the battery to heat up with lower voltage going in than higher voltage. So these are the things put in place. And honestly, I feel like, what happened to the Pixel 4a kind of plays a role in it. I'm not upset. I mean, it is a bummer, yes, but I'm not upset by it, right? Apple does this with their iPhones. Not exactly like the way that Google's doing it, but over time, when you check your iPhone battery health, when you first bought it, it's at 100%. Over the time that you've been using it, you start to see it's like at 91%, 90%, 85%, 77%. So you guys get the point. So let's not panic because it's not capping directly when you take it out of the box.